All right, let's get right into it. We're deconstructing the Occupational English Test, or OET. What we're really going to do here is pull apart its structure to understand what each section is actually trying to measure, in the real-world context of healthcare.
So here's the 30,000-foot view. The OET is broken down into 4 key parts, or modules: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. As you can see, they all have their own timing and their own format, but the big idea is that they're all meant to mirror situations you'd actually face in your job. Let's start with the first one, listening. Okay, the listening section. It's not just a simple, can you understand English test? Not at all. Its main job is to see how well you can pull out critical information in a clinical environment. Think of it like this. It's testing the same skills you'd use in an actual patient consultation or a shift handover. So how is it structured? It's got 3 distinct parts. In Part A, you're essentially taking notes during a patient consultation. Then Part B gives you these short audio clips from the workplace, maybe a handover between nurses. And finally, Part C involves longer recordings like interviews or presentations. The really important thing to grasp is that all of this audio is made to sound just like what you'd hear on a typical day at work. But here's something that's absolutely crucial to understand: the weighting. All 3 parts matter, of course, but your performance in Part A, that patient consultation part, it carries the most weight by far. It's going to have the biggest single impact on your final listening score. So what are they really testing with Part A? It boils down to one key skill: clinical information extraction. It's checking if you can pick up on everything, not just the straightforward medical facts, but also the medical idioms, the casual language a patient might use, all those little subtle details that are actually clinically very important. Okay, so what does success look like in numbers? Well, to give you a rough idea, a typical passing score is right around 30 out of a possible 42. That number really drives home the point, doesn't it? You need a very high level of accuracy, especially in that all-important Part A. All right, let's shift gears to the reading section. The philosophy here is a little different. This part is all about testing how well you can manage clinical information, both efficiently and accurately, when you're up against the clock. And you'll see a familiar structure. It's also split into 3 parts. Part A is a pure speed challenge. You have to skim and scan short texts really quickly. Part B then slows it down a bit, asking you to understand short workplace documents, like a set of hospital guidelines. And finally, Part C is where you do the deep dive, a detailed analysis of longer medical texts. Let's just zoom in on Part A for a second, because this is where that time pressure is just relentless. Imagine this. You've got 20 questions, and the clock is ticking. You only have 15 minutes to get through them all. And if you do the math, that's just, wow. It's less than 45 seconds for each question. So you see, this isn't just a test of can you find the information, it's a test of can you find it now. Okay, next up is the writing section. This one hones in on another skill that's just as critical: your ability to communicate clearly and with a specific professional purpose, but this time in writing. The task itself is super specific. You're given a set of case notes, and from those, you have to write a professional document. Most of the time, it's a referral letter. The word count for the main body is tight, between 180 and 200 words, and your audience is always another healthcare professional. And this idea right here really nails the core of it. This isn't about writing beautiful flowing prose. The real test is about clear, effective communication. Can you get the right information to the right person for the right reason? In fact, things like selecting the relevant details and structuring the letter properly are often way more important than using fancy grammar. And here's a little insight into how it's scored. A huge factor for getting top marks is starting your letter with a crystal clear purpose statement. Just right at the top, explaining who you're writing to and why. Why? Because it makes the whole letter instantly usable and effective for the person reading it. All right, last but not least, the speaking section. This is where the test moves beyond just the exchange of information. It's really designed to evaluate your clinical communication skills, specifically how you build empathy and establish trust with a patient. So what does this look like? It's basically 2 role-play scenarios. Each one is about 5 minutes long. You play yourself, the healthcare professional, and the examiner takes on the role of a patient or maybe a patient's relative. The whole thing is set up to feel just like a real-life clinical interaction.
Now, the way they assess you here is really interesting because it has a dual focus. On one hand, yes, they're looking at your linguistic skills, your grammar, your fluency, the usual stuff. But with equal importance, they're also assessing your clinical communication skills. Things like, are you showing empathy? Are your explanations clear? So it all comes down to this. The test is asking more than just, is your English correct? It's asking, does the patient walk away feeling understood and reassured? That patient-centered focus is absolutely fundamental to this part of the exam. Okay, so we've walked through all 4 sections. What's the common thread here? What's the one big idea that ties all of this together? Well, there's a core philosophy that runs through the entire OET. And it's this. The OET isn't testing English in isolation, like some academic exercise. Every single part of this exam, from listening in on that consultation to writing that referral letter, is built to assess one thing: how well you can communicate as a healthcare professional. And that's really the final thought to leave you with. At the end of the day, whether you're listening carefully, writing clearly, or speaking with empathy, the OET is evaluating your ability to build trust through communication. It's not just a language test, it's a test of professional practice, and language is just the tool you use to succeed.